The third episode of our Mainstay Depth and Rotate series will be looking at the forward line. Let's get into it. So before we do jump straight into it, just quickly, these tees are still available on my Redbubble store. I love them. You'll see me rocking them a couple of games this season. I just love that magpie, like, so dope. Anyway, these are on my Redbubble. The link is down below. Let's get into the second last episode of this series. We'll be looking at the forwards. The last episode will be me picking my best 23, but let's jump into it. So we've got our mainstays, of course. First up, Checkers. Obviously, he's the biggest mainstay, first name on the team sheet, has won our Copeland Trophy 5 years in a row. Is he still going to win it this year? Look, probably, but you know, I really do feel bad for him, especially with mcstay going down and mcstay not being featured until probably the finals if we are to make it. It really is disappointing because my check since 2018 has had to shoulder this whole forward line, and when he had mcstay, they started off a little bit rough, but they got into working really well in tandem, and we saw that in the lead up to finals. We saw that in finals. They'd just give you the old 1-2 punch, but look, it sucks that now he has to sort of lead this forward line again by himself as the only tall timber, but if anyone can do it, it's the absolute workhorse that is Brodie Majek. In the mainstay, of course, we've got Jamie Elliott. I know in the mid video I said he's a rotate, because I do think he's going to rotate into the middle a bit, but you'll never take Jamie Elliott out of the forward line. Earlier though, in the preseason, he was training as a bit of a half back, and I think that's just, look, and I compared him to Leon Davis in 2011 when Davis went to the half back flank and he won an All-Australian there. I don't think they're going to put Elliott as a half backer, but what I think that they're doing is kind of like with Bowen in midfield and stuff, they're just giving these players a bit more, not freedom, but a bit more of a chameleon sort of team where if someone goes down in the half back line, Elliott knows how to play there if we have to shove him up there, if we need someone who can take a good mark and who's quick and stuff like that, so we can put Elliott in there. We have more strings to our bow, so that's why I think Elliott was training off that half-back line. But obviously he's the mainstay in the forward line, along with Bobby Hill. What's more to say about Bobby Hill? Absolutely phenomenal last season. The grand final, like, come on, like, I don't even have to mention it, but Bobby Hill as that sort of, probably the only small sort of forward that we have. I'm not really going to include Bo in that, but with no Jack Ginnivan as well, Hill is going to work a little bit more, but I think he's going to work really well with Lachie Schultz, and he's the fourth guy I've got on here as a mainstay. Lachie Schultz, coming from Fremantle, was second in their goal kicking last season, has kicked over 90 goals in the last 3 seasons combined. Schultz is going to take us to a whole nother level. With Jack Ginnivan not being there anymore, Lachie Schultz is a major upgrade on him. That's no that's no shade to sort of Jack Ginnivan, but Jack Ginnivan is at the start of his career. Lachie Schultz is in the middle, so he's going to start hitting peak fitness. And sorry, not peak fitness, peak, just like peak skills sort of thing. And the thing I like about Lachie is when I've been to training and I've been watching him, he is deceptively quick. I didn't think he was that fast, but watching him at training, he's got a little bit of speed on him, and that's why, he matches up really well with Elliott's stats last season. Schultz, yes, he can kick a goal, but he's very good as a pressure forward and can take a good mark, can tackle a lot as well. So I think we'll play Schultz off that, maybe that half forward line, have Jamie Elliott a little bit deeper into goals, helping out Checkers. The next guy I've got here is Bo McCreary. We'll rotate through the middle a little bit, I do think, but we'll be off that half forward line, kind of like Schultz, that high pressure defensive forward that we love. That makes the Collingwood team, those two guys, tackling, making opposition defenders absolutely shit themselves, what we do love there. Mason Cox, like I said in my midfield video, I think he's going to spend more time up forward than he does in the ruck. Look, that's just my sort of opinion. It's probably going to be a 50-50 split, but I think Cox will do a bit more in the forward line just because of that no mcstay, and we won't get him back till finals. Now, the last guy I've got as a mainstay is AJ/Reef. Now, this is going to be a battle that we're going to see all throughout the season, and this sort of competition is very healthy for the club, this competition for spots. Either one of them, I don't think they'll both play in the forward line, but either one of them will do really well in the forward line. AJ has had a phenomenal, or they both have had a phenomenal preseason. Like, if I was to pick my best 23 now, I couldn't tell you who was ahead of the other, because Reef in the match sim on Monday apparently kicked 3 or 4 goals. AJ kicked a couple of goals. He's bulked up a little bit as well, which is good, and he just takes a great contested mark. The thing about AJ is we know what we're getting when we put him into the team. That consistent work rate. Yes, sometimes he goes missing a little bit, but he's got a consistent work rate, a good third tall, and he's a good foil to Myercheck. With Reef, he's still a little bit under a question mark cloud, because he's come off the sub a couple of times. Yes, he can pop up for a couple of goals, but we haven't seen him really, when he's getting a full game, he hasn't really done a lot. So I'm hoping that with this preseason, that this is the year of Reef, and we finally see, as a third tall, because he is really tall, what he can produce at AFL level. So depth. This is the only sort of thing that, the only sort of area in our whole team that gives me, it's a bit uneasy for me. Like, our depth is either AJ/Reef, because one has to be mainstay, one has to be depth. Nathan Kruger, we don't know if his body's going to hold up. I want everything to go right for Nathan Kruger, because he seems like such a good dude, and deserves the world. Can also take a really good mark, and can also kick a ton of goals. Did a lot in the VFL. Harvey Harrison as our small forward. We saw glimpses of him last season, debuted against West Coast. And then Joe Richards as another small forward, who probably won't come in unless there's injuries to Hill, Elliott, or something like that. So you can see that our sort of depth in the forward line isn't that good as our depth everywhere else. Like, I can't really see anyone sort of being the sort of depth player in the forward line. But touch wood, nothing sort of serious happens to our forwards, so we don't really need to use those depth players unless just to rotate for form and stuff like that. But I would love to get a couple of more medium forwards, another key forward, but that's for the end of the season stuff. So now for rotations, I've only got a couple in here. I've got Darcy Cameron, because we know that he'll rest in the forward line while Cox goes into the ruck. Jordan De Goey, I dare say we don't see a lot of Jordan De Goey in the forward line, but far out, do I love a good 10-minute spell of prime Geordie in the forward line, like he used to, 2018, 2019, where he'd just dominate. And I think it's a good sort of, tactic where if we need to get a couple of goals and we need someone to sort of command that forward line, put Elliott into the middle, so quick, agile, Jordan De Goey straight into that forward line, and absolutely bullying the defenders there. The other guy I've got on rotation here is Jeremy Howe. We saw him go into the forward line against Carlton, against Brisbane. Carlton kicked 3 last quarter goals. Similar to Jordan De Goey, if we need someone to be that high marking forward who can just leap, Jeremy Howe is that guy. He's a bit of an awkward matchup as well. But other than that, I don't really have many other players that can kind of sneak into that forward line. Maybe Will Hoskin Elliott as a rotation there. But other than that, the forward line is probably, I don't want to say our weakest area, because we do have A-grade talent in there, but it's definitely our most, our thinnest area compared to the midfield and the defenders. But there are my thoughts on our mainstay, our depth, and our rotation through the middle. Let me know your thoughts down below. Do you agree with me? Do you think there is any more depth to go into this forward line? Who else would you rotate through that forward line? Let me know your thoughts down below. But until then, like, comment, subscribe, tay family, tay friends, tay pets, and until next time, double shaggers. I'll swoop you later.